I'm Joey Pepmiller. I pastor in West Monroe, Louisiana. In fact, I've been in West Monroe for 2 years. Todd and I began talking. It was a year in October 26th, 23rd or 26th, somewhere in there, this past year. And the conversation really began as a call to me to, talk about some things that were going on in West Monroe and what Todd might be able to bring to the church there and the leadership there, and just to see where we're headed. And as I began to talk with him about some of my frustrations in ministry, specifically revolving around vision, we began to have a more of a thorough conversation on visionary communication and what that looked like and how that might be beneficial to me. And so through some prayer and through some maybe even having to just do a lot of trusting, because that's not normally my style of doing things, is seeking out help. Was more we started in what I like to call our relationship, because I feel like that's what it is. That's the way I explain it to a lot of people. It's a relationship of working with Todd and really learning about myself and what the Lord's vision is for me, and how the Lord can work through me to establish or to prepare others to hear the Lord's vision for them. Now, where we're at, we just began vision pictures just recently. In fact, as of right now, we're working on a third vision picture for myself. We've done 2 so far, and it's been an interesting experience. I'm not usually one to lean into silence and quiet and listening. I'm more of the hey, let me tell you about it kind of guy, and so that's been an interesting experience so far. Just seeking to hear from the Lord rather than telling the Lord about my troubles, rather hear about what He has for me. And it's actually kind of challenging in some ways for me to kind of get out of that normal way of operating, to get into a place where I'm allowing the Spirit to speak into my life. In fact, I would say that's probably been the biggest challenge through this whole process, this whole relationship, is that, or journey, I guess you call it, is really allowing the Spirit to move and to work, and really understanding how the Spirit works and moves. That's been a big part of it. I remember I was a similar situation. I was not at home. It was a busy week. In fact, I was in the Missouri turkey woods. Todd still wanted to have a meeting because we'd missed some before. And I'd kind of said that, well, we might need to cancel because there's going to be things going on. I'm going to be with family and different stuff. But I sat in my truck for I think around about an hour and a half. And similar to this, just having more of a phone conversation. And the conversation that day was on the Holy Spirit and how the Holy Spirit operates, and understanding how my understanding of that would further open up the vision for what God has for me. And I'll say that conversation was a turning point for several reasons. It was the first time I'd really prioritized that the phone call or the Zoom call over family. And not really prioritized it over them, but prioritized it in spite of the time, I guess I should say, the timing and things like that. But it was also, it really, really engaged me to realize that I was more committed to this than what I originally thought I was. And then also really understanding the way the Holy Spirit operates and how the Holy Spirit operates in my life has been crucial since then, especially coming into vision pictures of, Todd, I remember the first time he was in West Monroe when we started talking about vision pictures, and in my office. And he said, all right, I want you to do something for me. I want you to get up and I want you to go somewhere. I want you to walk. I want you to be quiet and do, just listen for what the Lord has for you. And we went to, I said, I remember thinking as I was walking down the hall, I was walking over to our children's building, a separate building, and thinking, this is the weirdest thing I've ever done. Thinking, this might be the weirdest thing I've ever done. But thinking, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm committed to it. I want to hear from the Spirit. I want to hear from the Lord. And if this is what it takes, to get me out of my zone of what I normally would do, where I'm not hearing from the Spirit as much, or at least not hearing the Spirit speak as much, or listening to Him, then you know what? I'm ready for it. And it's interesting because I think I was gone for right about 15 minutes because it took me a while to get out of my head, to get really open to hearing from the Spirit. And I thought of one word, literally one word, that I felt like the Lord was speaking into my life. And from that one word, which was peace, we were able to develop a whole vision picture for my life. That what's crazy it wasn't even really, it was a vision picture to hear from for my relationship with the Lord, but it ended up speaking into a completely different vision picture of my relationship with my wife. And it's amazing how the Holy Spirit works. And that's why I'm thankful for Todd is, I know Todd doesn't like to refer to himself as a coach or a mentor or, that or anything like that. But because of the relationship we have and because of the journey that we're on together, he kind of encompasses all of those things without really speaking into a lot of the more negative things of those roles. And his ability to ask the right questions and speak into my life in areas from an objective point of view from where he's hearing from the Spirit has been a real blessing in those times when I'm kind of being more building a wall and being more setting up more boundaries. It's one of those things that I didn't see coming, this journey. In fact, I think Brian said it earlier. If you would have asked me to do this a couple of years ago, I probably would have laughed and said, no, I'm good, but the Lord speaks at just the right time, and the Lord works at just the right time in His timing. And learning to trust that and learning to understand that has been vital in this conversation for sure. Mm-hmm. As far as the vision pictures go, I would say just in the last little bit, the most challenging aspect of vision pictures for me is more of the motivation. When we're working through those vision pictures, obviously the beginning part of really just being open to the Spirit, that's challenging, but that can be done. Just recently, I've learned that I can come up with what I want to see, what I believe the Lord wants for me. I can look at those things and really hear from the Spirit on, okay, this is where I see myself. But what the motivations are behind that and what has to be there, what has to be in place for those vision pictures to be fulfilled is where I find it more challenging. Mm-hmm. One of the vision pictures was to purposefully engage my wife, to learn, to help her, or to help her understand my love for her, and to help her recognize my love for her, and to feel secure in my love for her. And so one of the aspects of that, one of the vision pictures, the results of that would have been honest and continual communication. And I put that down for the motivation because that's something that I believe the Lord wants for my relationship with my wife. It's something that I want for my relationship. I desire for my relationship with my wife. And so as we started talking about that and really getting into it, Todd said, well, that's not necessarily a motivation. That's more of a result. That's more of what we're going to see from this move and from this action. Statement of really, in order for honest and continual communication, there must be an interest and a care for what she has to bring to the table, what she has to say. Not necessarily opinions, but how she feels, how she sees things, how she's some of the things that are going on in her life versus simply overriding that with statements. In fact, one of the things that comes out of that is more of, okay, maybe asking more questions and actually showing interest because the interest is truly there versus making statements based upon the things that she's saying and giving answers to questions she's not even asking.
Yeah. So for those that have not had these conversations yet, we're going to eventually be looking at individual pictures that God is showing you of the man he's calling you to be. And then we'll clarify every one of those pictures with 5 clarifiers. The one that Joey is talking about is the 4th of those 5. And the 4th one is, what's really got to be in my heart that seems to be missing, that has not led me to realize this vision of me yet? There's something missing in my heart. It's a motivation, it's a discipline, it's a desire, it's a commitment, it's a motivation. And so what I found is that if I don't understand and clarify what's got to be motivating me to be this man, just because I identify and even can imagine being that guy will never compel me toward him.